Welcome back to the Weekend Warrior Show Recap Podcast. I'm Ty from the Unemployed Architects. Today I'm sitting down with a brand new face. We've never actually talked before, I don't think. This is beyond the internet to set this up, but this is Austin Willis from 3rd Street Down. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Can't complain. Yeah. So, we were talking a little bit before how we had never really had an actual conversation before, so we tried to save some of this getting to know you. So I've known 3rd Street Down for a while. I mean, I've known of you guys. I've seen you play solo, and I've seen the full band, I think, at Make Music Normal. Just a few songs there at the end. But and I also, does Jake Denny still play with you?
Yes, he does.
Is he playing drums?
Yeah, the last time we played, he was playing drums for us.
Man, that kid's talented, huh?
Kid.
Because he was playing bass, right? Or guitar.
He was playing guitar,
right? So, playing guitar and then switches over to drums for you.
Yeah.
I watched some of the, you recently did the Bloomington Center of the Performance Arts.
Right.
They're doing some virtual concert series, and I saw that, and I was really, really confused by it. Honestly, because I was looking for him as a guitar player.
Yeah.
And then he just wasn't there. And then I was like, oh, the redhead kid on the drums, right?
Yeah, we've gotten that a lot from people saying, like, you know, the drummer looked really familiar, but I just couldn't put my finger on it. I'm like, that's Jake the guitarist. He's always there. Just he's in a different position and it just throws people off so much.
Well, and he's kind of a young guy, right?
Yeah,
he's 17. I feel like his face changes, you know, because he's getting old. I've known that kid for a long time. I used to do a lot of busking, and I still do, he was a kid that would come out and just kind of stand there for a long time and talk to us a little bit, and I think he saw us play at the Circle a few times, and we talked about music a lot, and then he told me, maybe a couple 3 years ago, when he caught me out busking again, and I was like, what have you been up to, man? And he's like, oh, I'm playing with this band, 3rd Street Down, and that was my first introduction, so... do you want to tell me just some general stuff? I saw you have a saxophone player now. Is that a regular thing?
Yeah, well, because when we started, we were Sunday afternoon.
Oh, so a different name.
Right. We started, I put the band together with my friends when I was probably 16, 17, around there. We've been playing for about 4 years or so.
Awesome.
But yeah, it would have been me, Damari Fennell, who's on keys, and Jacob Labertu, that's on saxophone. He was also one of the original members.
Nice.
But yeah, it was ever since we've been Sunday afternoon, he's been with us. But the previous year, the first year that we were 3rd Street Down, I believe, the second year we were 3rd Street Down, he wasn't there with us.
Okay, so
because he had gotten an internship.
The saxophone player,
right?
Okay,
he had gotten an internship out in Pennsylvania and spent the summer out there, and so he wasn't with us that summer to play. But
what inspired the name change?
Sunday afternoon was confusing people.
I gotcha.
Like we would play at Night Shop, and we'd have on the marquee out front, Sunday afternoon, Friday night. And people would be really confused, like, well, what's on Sunday afternoon and what's on Friday night? It's just 2 dates, So we were like, maybe we should change that. And it actually did pretty well for us. I mean, when we changed the name, we had more followers on Facebook, like, after the first week than we had on our other Facebook page for the Sunday afternoon.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it helped a lot, and it helped us grow too, because it felt like we had a new identity almost. So it allowed us to grow musically a little bit.
That's what I was gonna ask. Did your style change a little bit along with that?
A little bit. I've kind of been in like a songwriting rut for the past couple years, and I don't know what it is. Like, it just takes so much to get.
Well, I mean, as a songwriter, I can relate to that. I feel like you just got to capitalize in the right time,
Right.
And sometimes you'll go months and you won't get, but then you'll you'll have that one night, and it's like you'll have half a song or a quarter of a song or a whole song even, and it just never. It's not very consistent. I mean, I know it's something they say, you know, you can like kind of practice and stuff like that, and you should get in a routine of doing, you know, working every day, but that just doesn't seem to be how I do it very well. If I do it that way, I get a lot of forced, weird, like, stuff I'm not happy with.
Right. It's like, for me, my problem is when I write songs, I record it on my phone, which I think most people do now, voice recordings, and that way I can hear it later if I like forget what I did in a certain part, whatever. And so when I just come up with an idea, like a melody, or maybe I've got a few chords on the guitar and I'm thinking of like a vocal run in my head, I might hum it out or whatever. And I've got hundreds of those in my phone, and I do it, and then I never go back to it to finish it and make it into something. So if I would just go through my phone a few times...
You have 2 albums, maybe.
Jeez.
So speaking of albums, do you have some albums out?
We've got an EP out under Sunday Afternoon.
Okay, so...
And we've got 2 singles out under 3rd Street Down.
Those 2 I've listened to very recently. So, because I actually recently made a huge Spotify playlist of a bunch of local musicians and stuff. And so
Is that public? Because I might...
I think so. It's actually one, I just got a job at the music shop in Normal, which is where I saw you and asked about this.
Right.
And so, I don't know, we get to pick our own music there, so I just thought it would be cool to have, like, local music playing.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's like, you know, we're on that team anyway, you know? We want to support our people, our local artists and stuff, so I've been playing that, and I've just tried to kind of compile a list. Of course, I'm sure I'm leaving 100 people out, and I, you know, would
there's so many people in town that do music that we don't even know about.
Right.
I mean, and the colleges are 2 places on there that in town where there's tons of music going on, but like it's like a separate scene.
Well, and it's, you know, to get it onto Spotify, I mean, it doesn't take that much to do, but it is one extra step that a lot of bands just kind of leave out.
A lot of people in like Bandcamp and...
Yeah, I never understood Bandcamp.
Yeah, we're on Bandcamp, but Jacob, the saxophonist, he does a lot. He helps a lot with that and does a lot with where we're going to put our music at and streaming and what services we're going to subscribe to, whatever. And so he's got us on Bandcamp and stuff, and I guess it's good for some stuff. I'm not really all versed on what all that does because he does all that.
It's just so there's like 3 that I think Reverb Nation, SoundCloud, and Bandcamp. I mean, I have music on there, but I don't really know that it does anybody any good. I don't know who uses those platforms. I think most people, when they listen to music, they either type it into Google and whatever pops up first they click on, or, you know, they just go to Spotify or Apple Music. I think those are kind of the 2 big ones. Maybe YouTube, but even that's like a stretch. YouTube for your phone. I mean, just to listen to music. I'm not saying like just in general, but anyway. So I think the benefit to Bandcamp is the artist gets a lot of the cut, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it would really help my bank account a whole lot.
Right.
But anyway,
it's not popular to buy local music all that much or pay for it. Yeah,
I'm giving mine away. I don't know what you do at shows, but I had Nolan Kelly in here last week, and
did you?
We were talking about like merch table and how it takes a whole extra like set of people almost to run the merch table, and most bands don't have that kind of budget. What I do is I just have a bunch of I make CDs like on disc makers, and they're really just sample CDs that have all my links on the cover. It's like a demo almost. It's not even like a real album.
Yeah.
Just kind of
it's like a songwriter's mixtape.
Yeah, and like here's some songs. If you like these songs, if you even have a CD player, you can listen to these. You know, you can put them in your car, whatever. But mostly, check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. Because I mean, I think when I say I have CDs to younger people, they're just not interested at all. So I almost have to like be like, but you know, all that information. If you just need to remember our name, even take the CD with you.
Yeah, I feel like it's harder in today's music age to sell music in general, because who's buying music? Everybody's streaming, paying for a service and just streaming it to their phone. I mean, and it's ridiculously convenient.
Oh yeah, and it's better than like I don't know. How old are you? You don't
21.
21. So you're, I'm 10 years older than you. So when I was in high school, that was like Napster times.
Yeah.
And so we were pretty much ripping off artists at that. We'd either buy their CDs or we would, get a bunch of music off like the free streaming or the free downloading sites.
Right.
And that didn't help the artist at all. At least the Spotify, like I have a clearer conscious, like streaming music because it's like I know it's not much, but and they kind of get all artists because I know it because I am on there. That I know how much they get per stream most of the time. Right. It's not much. But at least I'm giving them something every time I listen, and I think that's, it's not buying a CD for sure, right. But it's something. It's some sort of support.
It's so weird. It's like coming to such a different age of music, and it changed so drastically over such a short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just technology changed so drastically, and along with that, it just completely changed the music industry.
Oh yeah.
But you're growing up kind of in the thick of it. I was a little pre crazy. I mean, I didn't even have a smartphone till like I was out of college. So, I mean,
I'm fortunate. I was fortunate enough to be born into the generation that I am, because I got a little bit of that like older way of what it was like. Because I remember going onto the websites to download the free like bootlegged songs and albums and everything, going to the library and getting the CDs and downloading them onto the computer and then ripping them off.
So I'll take you a step back further. When I had a paper out and I was like in middle school, I would I'd have a CD that probably I burned off the computer. Burning CDs was a thing. And then I'd take a cassette tape and I would tape it because I had a tape player for my paper out. So I'd have a mixtape recorded from a burned CD.
Nice.
Yeah. It's different world.
It just slowly somehow started picking up speed. Before you know it, we're just zooming now and trying to get to Mars.
There's it's pretty crazy to think about, like, when I even when I was younger, it was, still there was a lot of artists coming out and stuff, but I feel like, the well never gets dry. It never stops. Like every day, millions of songs are being released, probably just on Spotify. And, there's already this backlog of all the music that's ever been created before.
Right.
So it's just getting, exponentially, the well is getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
And I'm sure you have, but like getting lost in Spotify or just in some streaming service and just finding more and more and more and more music.
And the thing is, there's a million great songs.
Yeah.
That I've never heard before.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird thing to, want to be a musician and then like realize that it's like almost impossible to stand out.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel it any way that you feel that in any way.
Absolutely. I've had that feeling a lot because it's like we live in this age of like extreme exposure and communication that humans have never had before. Like, so I used to live in Mexico, and I was just there actually last week. Cool. And was hanging out with friends and visiting, but I'm able to keep up with them from here, like on a daily basis, just like I would with anybody else. And I text my friends down there just as much as I text my friend that lives 5 minutes away from me.
Right.
And that's something that would have been completely foreign to my parents. Mm-hmm. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and it's just
definitely crazy to think about. And it's only going to get crazier. So
yeah. I
don't know. It's like from a music perspective, it just seems like you just you're always the underdog. Like there's no, I don't know if that's relatable at all to you, but I do have that feeling a lot where it's like I don't know how. I mean, I'm going to keep writing songs. I'm going to keep making art for art, but it would be nice to have some sort of kickback, but
Right.
I just my perspective on it's changed a little bit, you know, because I think my idea of what success is just different than what, you know, if you think about like Elvis, you know, like Elvis Presley. I mean, he was world famous, like, and one of a kind, or just, you know, the Beatles, or like, you know, Ray Charles, you know, anybody that from the like that kind of time period, that 50s, 60s, 70s kind of era, you know, is just a whole, like, there's no way that any band or any, I mean, it's possible, but it's way less likely. And I think if you do it, your minute is a lot, like your time. Like, I feel like Elvis was popular for a long time, like decades. Johnny Cash, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
He was decades. I mean, even in the 2000s, he was releasing songs that were popular.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you know, so it's just, I don't think there's ever going to be that again.
Yeah, it's hard to say, because I mean, the age of streaming that we're in now has kind of, there's a lot of pros and cons to it. I mean, cons go, well, pros to start with. It gave everybody a chance to get on that playing field.
Definitely.
So, like, on the same streaming service, the same place that people are going to listen to Bob Marley. Like, if somebody's going to go listen to a Bob Marley song, my song
Third Street
that
Down
I made
can
with my
be
band is on that same site, yeah.
On the same playlist, even.
Yeah, it can be on the same, exactly. So it gave everybody that opportunity to be on that level. But the industry somehow found a way to still make it even harder on top of that. But also, it was just by nature as well, because there's so many people all over the globe putting stuff on. Because I mean, before it was just people in their own little markets where they lived. And
at. I mean, they had to get a record company to essentially. You know, you think of a record deal, and all a record deal is like a loan to record a kick-ass album, and then you're stuck trying to pay it back for pennies on the CD sold. You know, because you don't, because they put all the money up front, they just rip you off kind of on the back end too, and you so I mean, now that that's not a thing, they don't really they can't really make money that way, so they had to kind of figure out a completely different way to even make any sort of money, because we don't need them anymore. I mean, like you said, it leveled the playing field, so I can be on the same list as a Bob Marley song. And, you know, I don't have to know anybody special. I just have to know the technology and the websites. That's it, which is easy to learn. I mean, just like anything else.
If you can get good at marketing on social media and getting your name in front of people's faces on their phones, then that's all you need. Like,
well, you say it's all you need, but that's a lot.
It is a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mean to say it like it's, oh, that's all you need. It's so easy. Bam, bam, bam. No, it's a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I struggle with that stuff constantly. Are you pretty active on the social medias and all that stuff? I've seen that recently.
on my personals.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've seen you posting a lot of like political stuff, and we can maybe talk about a little bit of that later.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so tell me more about Third Street Down. What have you guys been doing lately? I do always like to ask the question, since this is the Weekend Warrior Show recap podcast. I like to, you know, try to ask you about like just a favorite show you have, or a cool memory, or like a little tour or something like that. So we can get to that and let you think about it for a minute. But what have you guys been up to?
Well, I guess. Well, we haven't announced this yet, but we're kind of going on a hiatus.
Oh, I gotcha.
I'm actually moving. I'll be skipping town. And along with Logan, bass player in the band, he'll be leaving as well eventually. Our keyboard player lives in Indiana now.
So you guys are real spread out.
Yeah, everybody's just kind of growing up. I mean, it was something we kind of started as kids, and now we're just kind of growing up. And
so you think that it's going to morph into something different for you, or?
I say hiatus because bringing technology back into it, we live in this age where we can create music wherever we are, you know? If I come up with an idea for a song and wherever I'm at and think, man, this would be a good song for 3rd Street Down, and call the guys up and send my track to them and see what they can do, because most everybody's got their own systems to record and things like that. Excuse me. Said excuse me before I burped. Oh, it's that bubbly.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so... But since we're all just kind of going our separate ways, and, I mean, in general, if we're gonna get anywhere in music, we gotta get to a bigger market.
Yeah.
It's gonna be more beneficial. Not saying
so what are you
thrived here.
What are you where are you moving to?
I'm going to Phoenix.
Phoenix, Arizona?
Yeah, Phoenix.
What's
Arizona.
in Phoenix? What's bringing you that way?
The heat. Trying to get away from the winter before it gets here.
I feel you on that. You know, it's So you said you lived in Mexico. How long did you live there?
I lived there for 9 months, and so this all kind of ties into each other. I've been trying to get back to Mexico ever since I left.
I got
you. And I finally decided that I'm just going to do it. And I was planning on being there by November this year, but I don't have enough money saved up yet. So, but I also just really don't want to be here for the winter because I hate it.
Yeah, I 100% understand.
Yeah.
There's no question about the Midwest winters, man. They are rough.
It's awful.
Yeah,
it is awful.
But you've lived here for a while, or?
Yeah, born and raised here.
So I mean, you know you get used to it.
I mean, yeah, I got used to it, and I was used to it throughout high school, and then I went and lived in Mexico, and then I came back, and after having spent a winter. Where I lived at in Mexico was out in like more towards the south, in the Yucatan Peninsula.
Okay.
It's like where Cancun is, Riviera Maya. I lived in a city called Mérida, and down there it's hot all the time.
All the time. So it's like it is today, just every day.
But hotter.
Right.
Yeah. And so I got used to that, and in the winter it gets nicer, and like the evenings it'll get maybe to like the low 70s, high 60s, and that's like freezing for them. But I'm like, this ain't too bad.
Well, being from Illinois,
I can live with this.
It's like a nice spring day.
Right,
you know?
right. So I'm trying to just...
So going to Phoenix and then making eventually the move to Mexico?
Right. Just going to Phoenix to continue saving money while simultaneously avoiding the winter.
I gotcha. So what's in Phoenix that, I mean, because you're going to be making money somehow there, so you get a job or something?
I'm just going to try to get a job. I'm not really looking at anything in specific. Like, just something to make some money and pay the bills, and Logan is gonna come with me eventually. He's gonna stay here, save up a little bit more money.
So are you planning on continuing music throughout
absolutely.
like as far as Phoenix and Mexico?
Yeah, for sure. Music's like been my passion, and told myself for too long, and people have been telling me for too long, that I can't just give it up for any reason. I've always got to keep up with it, so I'm gonna do that. And
well, I can't even imagine the market in Mexico. I mean, what is there a big live music market down there that would like the kind of music that you make?
The Latin American music scene is an interesting one, because like here we've got the American music scene. That's what you get. Might get a little bit of sprinkling from Europe every once in a while. But in Latin America, it's all of Latin America. That's a lot of countries.
Yeah.
And a lot of people. And plus Spain will get some influence in there as well. So I'm excited to get down there and see where my music might go in that aspect, because we're going to be in a good area as well. That peninsula area that we lived in, first of all, it's known to be like the safest part in all of Mexico. I've never had any issues there. Walked around in the streets at night by myself, no problem. And that's just what it's known for. Like, even the other people in Mexico say, oh, yeah, it's like another country there. Like, it's a different place. But it's 3 hours from Cancun. And Cancun is a huge tourist destination, as everyone well knows. So there's a lot of opportunities for music out there as far as playing on resorts or at bars and things like that. And a lot of those tourists are coming from the United States, Canada, and Europe, where all the money's coming from as well. Mm-hmm. So there's some...
So that's the plan, I feel
that's kind of the plan. We're going to try to see what we can do with that. And
get in front of a large, very varied audience.
Exactly.
That could, take you back home with you.
Exactly. Because, I mean, here in the Midwest, we can reach, who we can reach out here. I
feel like it's good in both directions. And,
right. If you can get up into the Chicago market, you're getting some good exposure.
I'm saying, the good thing about Illinois, the thing that I think about is I can get to either side of the country pretty easy. We're right in the middle. So, like, we do a tour out to Colorado. We try to do it once a year, and that's like, 14, 15 hours.
Oh, cool.
And then if you go the other way to New York, it's about the same exact drive. So, I mean, and then it's another third of it's more like a third, and then another third would be to get to California. Right. So, I mean, it is kind of nice in that way, and I think there's a lot of artists in this town that really do tour a good amount, and I've always seen that and thought, I feel like that's probably why they stay here, because you can kind of get everywhere. You could get to the big city in Chicago, like you're saying. You can, if you want to take a tour, you can really get across the country, which is
absolutely cool. And I definitely see the benefits there. I think that what I'm going for here in Mexico might be an opportunity where, rather than having to spend all the money touring,
they come to you.
Exactly.
I got you.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a good idea. I'm not taking away from
it.
That's I've never thought about that before. That's a cool
Could
plan.
Be a good opportunity.
So, other than that and the temperature, obviously, is there any other cool part that you're looking forward to down there, or?
Just like, it's like home to me almost. When I lived down there before, I made a lot of friends, and they all kind of took me in and treat me like family. Like, their parents all treat me like family and take me in and take care of me. And so I'm just excited to go back to that and just be around all them again.
And that's just kind of a open-ended plan. You don't really have or do you just think you want to stay down there forever?
I mean, that's the start of the life adventure for Austin.
I gotcha.
Phoenix is kind of like the trial run. Mm-hmm. I guess you could say Mexico in the first time was kind of like the trial run. That was just kind of like a playtime.
Yeah, this is real.
Phoenix is going to be kind of like a trial run. And then that's going to be like, all right, here we go. We're starting life now.
And can we do it?
Can we do it?
Can we keep it rolling?
I have a good feeling. But we're going to see.
That's cool. I like the adventure attitude. I feel like as a musician, you kind of have to have that to some.
Absolutely.
Because every show is like a mini adventure. Like, there's so much like pre-show, post-show, like crazy stuff that goes on that most of the people I feel like that go to shows a lot don't really think about. But the life of like a gigging musician, which we're in a time where that's maybe a thing of the past. I don't really know for sure. But I don't want to say that really. I'm kind of exaggerating, hopefully exaggerating. Yeah. But you have to have a little bit of an adventurer's, I think, like vibe. Like you have to be ready to go, and you have to just take risks. And I don't know. I feel like so you're probably taking it seems like you're taking it to a whole next level, which is really cool, because I don't know if I can imagine myself just moving to Mexico, but
Hey, I mean, I look at it as I want to make it a normal thing to where it's not like a next level, that it just becomes more normal for the next generation of Americans to kind of just be more adventurous, and that it be more normal to share culture with other people around the world. And
in theory, that sounds great. I mean, I would love to travel all over the world, but I don't have a means a lot of the time.
Right.
And so I'm a little bit of a neurotic and worrier, and I like to make sure that all my financials are kind of in order to a point. I'm not saying they're great, but I'm saying like I feel like I have to be a little bit responsible. I'm not like just. But in that same, like I have that side to me, and then I have that adventure. Like let's do a tour out to Colorado and I'll book some shows and see what happens.
Right.
But I feel like I have to have one so I can have the other. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
I feel like, because I definitely get that feedback as well. Like people think I'm just kind of I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm like
no, go ahead.
Other people. Like, if other people think, oh, he's just messing around or just traveling or whatever, but no, really, I'm just living life like it's, like there's a responsible way to go about doing it, Like, I could go to Mexico right now with the money I have saved, but it wouldn't last very long.
Mm-hmm.
And also with COVID right now, there's not a lot.
Yeah, that was going to be a question down the road I was going to get to.
Yeah.
Traveling and how is that kind of in your head? But keep going.
So I mean, for example, if it were more normal for people to go out and spend time in other countries and live in different places, because here in the United States, if somebody wants to move to a different place, it's pretty expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times in other countries, it's not too expensive. Like, I'm only planning on saving not any more than 10 grand to go to Mexico and be able to live.
I guess, I just my thinking here, and this is me, if I save $10,000, it's like I want to be in the studio recording. Like,
right.
And that's, what a good full album is going to cost you, at least $10,000. Right. So I guess that's where I end up and place a lot of my focus instead of, which I'm not saying is right or wrong. That's just how I've done it so far.
Absolutely.
And there is definitely obviously an age difference between us. So I think doing what you're doing now is a great idea, a great plan. I think the idea of getting in front of a lot of people from all over the world is, like I said, something I've never even really thought about, and is a good idea ultimately.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I've just got kind of that adventurous spirit. Just kind of I want to see everything. Like, just something about my personality makes me feel like if I'm missing an experience, I can't miss it. I gotta.
I feel like that's the dream for the musician, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's like to have a means to travel the world. I feel like that's partially why I got into it. At some point, is like I want to have an excuse to go to Europe. I want to have an excuse to go to Mexico, Canada, like all these sweet places. But, I haven't really attained. I mean, I got to go to Colorado, like I said. That's about as cool as it's gotten.
Colorado's pretty dope.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Colorado's pretty
Have you been out there?
Yeah, I've got an aunt and an uncle that live out there. We went and visited them once, and it was really nice.
Well, it's a very, very pretty place.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's gorgeous.
It's kind of mind-altering to a point.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, just pulling up to the mountains for the first time, if you've never seen them like in real life, is...
Right.
And that's why we go back, ultimately.
It's a really nice place. Like, I've definitely considered spending some time out there later in life. It's being up in the mountains was kind of like a cool thing for me, driving through. I remember distinctly I was driving through, like the...
So you got to drive in the mountains?
All through, like, the Weaving Rows and everything, and I had steel drivers playing in the background, just jamming.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it was a good time.
How long ago was that?
I would have been 18, so 3 years now.
That's about the time that we went. The
Yeah.
first time. It'd been about 3 years ago.
Right on.
So let's. So I gave you enough time, hopefully, to think about what your cool show experience or cool tour or cool anything in that regard. It can be anything, obviously. It doesn't have to be like, it could be a terrible show. It's just a funny story. It could be anything. No pressure, but I like to ask.
Well, shoot, there was when we played the WGLT concert that they do, the summer concert downtown.
Yeah.
That was a cool experience.
So let's go through it. What was it like? Who'd you play with? Was there a bunch of other bands? Was it a festival?
The Something Brothers played.
Oh, yeah, they're a Bloomington local that is I mean, they're kind of popular. I mean, they draw a crowd around here for sure.
Local legends for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There was a brass band from I think Louisiana that played, and then Adia Victoria.
I don't know.
We weren't aware of who she was either, but I think she's from Memphis or Nashville or something. She was cool.
Wait, I think I've seen her name. I've just never heard somebody say it. What was it?
Adia Victoria.
Maybe. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
She was good, but it was just a cool experience. It's probably one of the biggest crowds we played for, like on the big stage in downtown, and just
how'd you get the show?
People. I can't say I fully remember. I know we did an interview with John Norton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've talked with him a few times here and there.
Yeah, and I think he might have mentioned something about that they were looking for somebody to play for the concert and that they might get into contact with us. But I can't fully remember how exactly we got the gig, but...
Was it an early slot, or...?
Yeah, we opened. So there wasn't as many people as there was by the end of it, but there was still a good amount of people, so...
And I think that I may vaguely remember that. That's kind of what, like, made a lot of people, I think, in the area more aware of you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely got our name out there a little bit more, because we definitely got a lot more shows after that.
Do you do shows with multiple bands a lot?
Yeah, we've played with Easy Riders from Peoria a couple times.
Heard that.
Young Strangers out of Galesburg, we've played with them. Man, I can't think any other ones that we've played with.
Do you like multi-band shows?
Yeah, I'm a community type of person, like real social people person. So when we play with those bands, just feels kind of cool to be like with another band and be like, yeah, we're both bands, and hey, we know the life,
Yeah, natural camaraderie that comes along with that. Cool. Yeah, I like that as well. I like the camaraderie, but it gets, with how little you make a lot of the time playing, becomes a little bit challenging once you add more, because you're already paying your bandmates out of a pot of like $400, $500. I mean, sometimes more, sometimes less. I'm not saying, and if you're doing your own sound, you might get a little bit more, and if you're just kind of showing up, plug and play, that's kind of a different thing. But then you add other bands that you end up almost making nothing a lot of the time, and it is a lot of set up really fast as you can, line check, does it sound okay? Play try to fit 10 songs where there should be 5, and then get the hell out of there. And that always is a little annoying, but it is nice to cross pollinate. I feel like if you're playing with some band that actually has a little bit of a crowd, and you have a little bit of a crowd, and
absolutely
you expose all your audience to them, and they expose all your audience to you. So it is definitely beneficial. But I feel like the older I get, the less of that I end up doing. I don't know if there's a correlation there or not, but I'm always open to it. It's always easier to just open for somebody acoustic, I'm always happy to do that. That's like the easy thing. But full bands, I mean, as you're seeing right now, everybody's kind of, they're hard to keep together in the first place, and then also, trying to organize it and just get everybody paid, and
yeah,
it becomes a lot of work.
I prefer a 3-piece. Like I should.
Well, and I was going to mention this. I saw you play at, I think, Cadillac Jack's. A solo acoustic. So,
cool.
I don't know if is that something you do a lot of, or?
More recently, yes. Previously, no. The past couple of years, I haven't really messed around with the acoustic. But that's what I started out with. Before I had a band, I was playing acoustic by myself, going to open mics, just getting my name out that way. And I mean, for a long time.
So you're 21 now, so you're just now allowed to like really be in bars.
Right.
So you've been because I remember when I was 17, 18, you know, I'm playing. It would have been 18, 19, I guess, playing open mics, and there's like maybe 3 or 4 in town you could do because they would let you in even though you were underage, and then you'd have to I used to play this one where I'd have to sit up in the sound booth the whole time.
Oh yeah.
And then my set would go, and then I'd go and play, and then I have to leave right after. That was Paulie's. That was where Drifters is now.
Okay.
But so you said you played a lot of open mics. So where are you doing those at?
Never really anywhere in Bloomington. Played at the VFW when they did theirs, and Emac and Bolio's when they had one.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah,
and that's not a bar, so obviously you get a pass.
And there was a couple times when I would go to some other ones. I don't know if you know Craig Goodall.
Yeah, the name sound. I think I see him on Facebook a lot.
Yeah, he lives out in Kentucky now, but when he was living here, he did a lot of open mics, and so I would go to his. He would do them at Cadillac Jack's and the Copper Top.
Yeah, I remember that place.
Yeah,
I think I played their full band just once, but
oh yeah,
it was a different crowd for sure.
Yeah. So I would go to those. I didn't really get out to any other ones because I just didn't want to mess with it. I mean, there was a lot of times where I would go in getting expecting to get kicked out, and times I did get kicked out.
Right.
But I had enough with what I could get to. I was like, I don't really need to get to all those other ones. But I went to more in Peoria. Peoria seemed to be more lenient with.
And Peoria is just a whole different scene. I mean, the musicians over there are it's like we're 45 minutes apart, but it's night and day difference. I feel like they have a lot more players, real musicians over there. Over here we have a lot more songwriters and cover bands. Over there they have people who can just shred.
Yeah.
That's how I've felt anyway.
It's pretty different, the two different scenes. But
I just wonder where that comes from and why it's so different.
I don't know.
Only being 45 minutes away.
I don't know. And it's like, it always felt weird being a part of the both scenes. Because a lot of the music scene people over there know who we are. Mm-hmm. Just from being at open mics and stuff. And we played a few shows out there. And but we were also in the Bloomington music scene too. And they were just didn't have any connection between the two. They never interacted with each other.
I 100% feel that.
It was just weird.
Nobody talks to each other because I mean there are a lot of upper echelon, I would say, Chicago Farmer, Ed Anderson, Dan Hubbard. Those guys all play in Peoria. But I always felt way more of a connection with Champaign, which is about the same distance away, and I could always get shows easier down there.
I can't.
I don't know why. I don't know what the difference is.
Champaign, I ain't got nothing in Champaign. I mean, we've played in Champaign a couple times and got maybe a couple contacts down there, but any open mic I've been to in Champaign has not been great.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I never really did. I did open mics in Bloomington, and I would go to 3 or 4 a week for probably 2 or 3 years before I really started playing. And that's how I feel like you get your stage chops, is really just those open mics.
For sure.
You kind of just learn how to be more comfortable on stage, and how the beginning parts of how to sing into a microphone and simple things like that a lot of people I feel like may take for granted. Like, you seem like a little bit of a naturally good singer. I don't know if that's
Oh, I've had to work on it for sure.
okay.
No, for sure.
I mean, I'm not. I'm just. It sounds very natural and good is what ultimately what I'm saying. I'm not saying you didn't have to work for it, but you know.
I don't know. I mean that just to be like I kind of sucked before.
Yeah, and I've been there. I'm still there to a point, you know. But and it does take a lot. But even I always think like just singing into a microphone is like a weird thing that you just start doing without thinking about, and then the more you do it, you start to realize that, at least me, I feel like I do sing differently when there's a mic in front of me, and when my voice is coming out of the speakers or the ground or my in-ears sometimes, or, you know, you're using different parts of your body to project the sound ultimately, and it's like every show I do, I feel like my voice is somewhere else sometimes.
Yeah,
like sometimes it's really heady, like the whole time, and then if I'm singing just acoustic, it's more in my throat and my chest, and then like sometimes it's in my stomach a little bit more, and I have the support.
Yep, I feel that for sure.
And I remember, I very vividly remember the first time I was in high school. I did a talent show, you know, because in high school, like that's like, I feel like one of two shows you can play throughout because there's nowhere else that has young, not so great band, you know what I mean? But anyway, so I was like a sophomore in high school, and I remember singing into a mic for the first time, no stage monitors, and I just thought it was so strange, and my voice wasn't even close to where it needed to be.
Yeah.
But like, I could sing that song fine without being, you know, without the microphone. So the mic definitely plays with your head, and then I've done it for so long, and you know, you get good at it without really analyze. I feel like I got better at it without, you know, really analyzing it, and then only like recently I kind of get into, you know, where's my voice at tonight? Like, to hit my notes right? Am I in my nasally? Am I in my head? Am I, you know, in my chest? In my throat?
Yeah.
Am I kind of gravelly? Sometimes I tighten up a little bit, you know, and it's just like little things that I don't think a lot of people really think about so much, but it is a big factor. And I think, you know, if you're really good at singing, that maybe it's not so much of a factor, but I feel like I'm always fighting it a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I definitely can relate to that. I feel like singing as a band...
singing with a band is a whole different thing, too, because then you're playing with a drummer, a bass player. If something I've learned probably in the last 5 years was, you know, if you have that, I like with my bass guitars, I like a ton of low end. Like I like them to be real fat, so they, you know, fill out the sound. I want the kick drum to be the same. But if you just throw all that low end out there and then you try to sing over it, it's really hard to hear yourself.
Yeah.
Like, unless you have the in-ears, that's really the right way around that. And it took me years and years and years to really understand, like, why am I singing so weird on these certain shows with the full band? It used to be so
you can't
easy.
Hear yourself.
Well, and it's just those frequencies, like, and I think there is something to the fact, to a certain level of volume, like after a certain amount of loudness, there's nothing you can do. Like you're just shots in the dark, you know. I played at the Castle a couple times where it was just so loud that I feel like I could not sing on key because it was just too loud. But I don't know. That stuff I think about all the time. But I don't know if you're...
I kind of got used to that, being too loud, because I mean all our shows, we've had very few shows where we've been just like pampered and how much of your guitar do you need?
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was talking about a little bit when I'm saying you're playing multi-show bands. That's one of the reasons that they can be a little extra, you know, stressful, because you're not getting a good sound check, and your monitors aren't mixed the way you want them to be. And
I almost kind of like it better that way, though.
Because then you don't overthink it, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's more natural, and I'm just slapping it out there. There you go.
Sounds how it sounds.
Take it how you want it, but this is what we're doing.
That's what Kyle Yap. Do you know Kyle Yap?
Yeah.
He played drums for us for a little while, and his catchphrase was, because we would practice, but probably not enough, and he would just say, "We play it how we play it." Like it was just like a running joke. We would always, when we would mess up or something, somebody would just yell that out loud, like at the end of a song. "We play it how we play it."
We play it how we play it.
Which I think is as far as like, because we do a lot of covers, because like we were saying earlier, in Bloomington, you almost have to if you want to get like paying shows.
Absolutely.
And
the original music market is not that large here.
Right. And, you know, I do a lot of covers, but I don't know if it's something to do with my filter. Just doesn't really come out exactly like the actual song. I mean, there's some songs I'm close on, but then and a lot of times, like, I don't know if it's just I'm lazy when I learn covers sometimes, but then I don't end them right, or like I never stick with it long enough to get it exactly right. And I
do the same thing.
Part of it's laziness, but part of it's like, you know, it makes it your own a little bit.
Yeah, I think we're quite one and the same, my friend, because that is the exact same thought processing that I have. I am a lazy ass dude, and I will do whatever it takes. I mean, I'm just like, man, I don't know how this song ends, but this is how we've been ending it, and this is how we're gonna end it.
Yeah,
because this is us.
Maybe you'll find a gem on accident, which happens a lot, where you're like, I didn't end it how it was supposed to end it, but I just kind of winged it from something maybe we were doing earlier that we just threw it at the end, and it was like a cool way to end it.
Right, and I'm like, really?
I
get the covers. And
I'm really lazy with covers. That's kind of what I mean, there are some songs I really care about and really like take a lot of time to learn, and then there's like the Journey, Don't Stop Believin' type songs. Not that it's a bad song. It's a great song for a reason.
I'm more bored just playing a cover the way that you're supposed to play it, whatever, than if I just mess around with it and play and enjoy it, make it my own, you know?
Definitely.
I'm like, if you wanted to listen to the song, if you really wanted to listen to Gravity by John Mayer,
just listen to Gravity.
Put it on your phone and listen to it.
Well, don't say that too hard, because here's a problem that I run into a lot. If you sound really good, which there's been, you know, there's plenty of nights where I don't, but there are some where I feel like I'm just killing it. But you're never gonna, because we were talking earlier about streaming and stuff, and you know, you're never going to be an iPhone. You're never going to be a jukebox. You're never going to be... And now music is so accessible to everyone. I feel like sometimes when I play at bars, people don't barely even realize that it's not like a jukebox. And, you know, they aren't paying attention because they're staring at their phones anyway.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how impressive you are or how, like, much time you put into it to some... I'm not saying everybody, but some people, because, you know, they could literally hear any song they want at any time. And, you know, if you're playing John Mayer Gravity, maybe they wanted to hear Wagon Wheel. And, you know what I mean? Which is just a weird, you know, music used to be so, like, sacred, I feel like.
Right.
Like,
people appreciated it.
Not that they don't now. I'm not saying that there aren't people.
People appreciated it more, I feel like. Because now it's so accessible that it's kind of taken for granted.
Well... And then that's kind of brings us to where we're at right now, because you can't go and see live music. So something that's taken so for granted is all of a sudden thrown in your face as something you're like, oh, I used to go to shows like all the time, and now I can't and I can't like enjoy live music. Which, you know, I'm kind of saying something negative about certain people, but there are a ton of people that really love going to live music.
Yep.
Because I would say, you know, there's probably more of those people that would rather hear the song on the iPod than there ever was before. But there's still a ton of people that are super, like, into going to shows.
Right.
And those people are really, really feeling it right now. So I guess that brings us to just what's going on right now. What have you been doing to kind of stay active over this time period, musically and non-musically?
Well, I mean, through the beginning of it, I just worked. They had me working from home. I work at country, so I was just on the computer all day, punching in numbers and addresses and stuff. And I tried to... I think a lot of people went through the same thing with this COVID lockdown thing. Because I've heard from many other people, and it happened to me too, just became really introspective.
Yeah.
And like, just start to think, where am I at? in my life.
Well, it slows you down. It gets you off your momentum.
Exactly.
Of just like getting through the exact thing going like that day-to-day kind of. And I'm definitely a paycheck-to-paycheck kind of guy, and I'm a show-to-show kind of guy. I got this show this weekend. Once that show's over, I'm thinking about the next one. You know, I don't have that like lag where
society needed that like hard cut, hard pause.
I think it was good in some ways. I mean, obviously, the people dying and getting sick and you know, is terrible and unfortunate.
Right, not to make any light of that. But I think in general, and 2020 has been a hell of a year.
Yeah,
But I think all of this happened right now because it needed to happen right now.
I gotcha.
Like, I feel like... Because so much stuff is coming to light.
Definitely.
And there's so many people wanting a change.
Well, even just in like political momentum, I don't know that we've ever like thought this hard about what is going on politically.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, not only has it given us more time to be kind of introspective and think about how certain things are done and maybe these aren't the right ways. Also, I mean, you know, it's thrown in our face 100% of the time. I mean,
absolutely.
There's no getting around it. But I think before you could distract yourself with, oh, I got work all day.
Yep.
I got this, I got that, and then now, you know, I mean, I still work, you know, full time and whatnot.
Yeah,
and I play shows here and there, but it does feel like I do have a little bit more time. You do end up looking at that stuff, especially when, you know, I feel like right now we're learning, like, as a country maybe that, you know, who we vote for and what we do is really important because how this has been handled, and it's
maybe we should have been paying attention to all this stuff for the past 60 years.
Because now it's gotten to a point where it seems almost unfixable in some ways, and I don't have any solutions. I mean, all I have are a list of problems that need solving.
And that's the problem is there's not enough people thinking of solutions.
I thought
it's too many people just spouting out all the problems. It's like, yeah, okay, we know what the problems are, but let's fix them.
I think that there's two groups of people that both know what the problems are, but those two groups of people have different lists.
Yeah.
And one of them on each of the list is the opposite group of people, which is just it's so divided right now.
It's ridiculous.
Crazy.
I mean,
we should have a common goal, I feel like, especially right now. We have a common enemy. We have the COVID thing. I mean, that should bring us together, but somehow that's managed to become a political thing that divides us further somehow.
It's amazing because it's like, how did we get to this point that we're so divided? Like, growing up, I was like, we're Americans. Everybody's American. We're all one. We're all...
And I felt that way, too. I really did.
And now, more than ever, I've never felt just...
But I do think when you're young, you're not really... You don't really care about anything political. So there's a little bit of ignorance as far as, like, child... I mean, you're a child. You're not worrying about how the government works. None of that stuff is even interested to you. But, you know, when you're becoming an adult and then... You know, you all of a sudden find yourself unemployed, and you're living off the program, the federal government programs and the state government programs. You know, because you literally can't work. I mean, that's when you start maybe poking your head up and like, what is going on? Like I thought we had this under control, but clearly we do not.
It's insane because I mean, it really has just gotten completely out of control. Like how. Like, everybody, if they haven't already, just really needs to sit down and be like, how did we get to the point where we're at? We tell our kids that they need an education to make it through life. Yet, we charge them
so much money.
A fortune to get that. And then, once they get out of that, they're in debt and can't do anything.
Yeah, there's a couple people I know that are... you know, pushing 60, they're still paying off student loans.
Yeah, and I mean...
What is the point in that? I mean,
I don't understand why they're having riots about that.
Yeah.
Like, how does that not make more people angry that that's the way our society works right now?
And then just, of course, asking a 18-year-old, like, here, I'm just going to give you this money, and do you think this is a good idea to have to pay me it back? And you're not thinking, you don't even understand the concept of money when you're 16, 17, 18 years old. And then until you start living on your own, then you're like, you kind of learn the value of money a little bit more. Not that there aren't kids that age that know, but I mean, there's definitely people who are going to college and stuff like that have that opportunity. I feel like a lot of times don't really understand what that means.
Exactly.
But
and not to backtrack on the conversation, but that's also why I kind of want to, in the future, be an advocate for kids getting out, is because when I go back to Mexico, I'm also planning on going back to school, because I can go to school in Mexico in the city that I lived in, at one of the top, like bougie schools, is
bougie.
People would call them up here on the west side.
My old drummer just informed me to what that meant.
Oh, really?
He was on the podcast not that long ago, and then he came and did a second one after that, and he was here one night and he kept saying bougie, and I was like, I don't know what that means. Anyway, sorry to completely derail the story.
No, it's okay. Yeah, it's a bougie school, like it's one of the more expensive schools. But to get my 4-year degree there, same thing, because I'm looking at doing communication. I could go to ISU and spend, what is it, 20-some grand a year plus. In the school I'm looking at in Mexico, I could do the 4 years for around 35 grand total.
Right, and that's just a completely different realm. I mean, that's not even comparable, really.
Yeah, I mean, you save so much money.
I was always very opposed to doing taking any loan. I mean, I think my mom really instilled in me, like, it's not a good idea. And, she helped me with the paperwork to get a couple, what's it called, financial aid, and then I got some sort of scholarship.
Yeah.
It ended up I went to Heartland, and they would pay me every semester. So so I got my associates, but I don't even understand school in general. I don't really know that it does. It's never really helped me that I've said I had my associate's degree. I don't think. I mean, it doesn't hurt, but I feel like I could have said it and not had it, and nobody would have followed up ever. And I don't know. When I was in school, when I was in high school and college, the whole time I'm there, I'm just like, when is it over? I was so burnt out on it. I don't know if that's just me, but it's so much of being there for that's your whole life when you're a kid,
Now, did you go to college directly after high school, or did you take time off?
I went to college directly.
Okay.
But, I mean, even high school, I felt it was just too much. Like, the way that high school is just like a prison in some ways. And it's not really set up to help everybody. It's set up to kind of, a lot of people get left behind, I feel like.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I did fine in school, but I just hated every second of it. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, I liked the social parts of it a little bit, I guess, but playing in a band in high school was fun, and I did sports and stuff, and that stuff I think taught me a lot. I think the sports I did in high school may have taught me more than the subject matter maybe sometimes. But anyway, I don't know. It's just you're locked in, and
For sure.
I've felt that since I was maybe 14, in school. So going to any sort of they tell you that you're supposed to go to college, so I did that, and I kind of half-assed it a little bit, but I got good grades, and it was 3.5 or above, I think, mostly. And not that Heartland was too crazy hard. There were plenty of classes I did. I took a lot of music theory in high school, so I took some theory classes in college, and since I took AP theory in high school, those were like a breeze. And
nice.
Then, I did a piano. Some of the classes, because my degree is technically in fine arts, which is I focused on music, obviously. But I mean, a lot of those were kind of blow-off classes. I mean, I remember my piano class was this is how much of a joke it was. It was we had to perform. The whole class was you just had to perform 5 songs by the end. They could be, and you just picked them, and you had no teaching involved. I mean,
nice.
Literally, the guy would just sit behind the desk, and for the whole class period, you could practice, and that, and when you were ready, you would say, "Hey, teach, I'm ready to perform." He'd be like, "Okay, go ahead," and then you'd play the song, and he'd be like, "Is that what you want? You want me to count that one?" And then you grade it, and that was my whole class. And
wow,
I could just not go to that super easy. Like I could just practice at home. What was the point of such a blow off class? And I never really understood what the point of it was. And I still struggle with that, with just working. Like I feel like working is such a waste of my life. I don't know how to.
I can feel that. I mean, that's another thing that I feel like just so much stuff needs to change. Like, it shouldn't be normal that people waste away their lives working for a corporation.
Well, you're working all that time so you can enjoy 5 to 10 years at the end of your life, so you retire. And it's like, but what about this part?
Exactly. Like, when you're healthy and, like...
But, I mean, that's when you should be working. I'm not 100% against, not working at all, but I feel like sometimes... Right. Well, and I guess this kind of brings up... I don't know, are you familiar with Andrew Yang?
Yeah.
He brought up he brought it into the national conversation, the universal basic income.
Okay.
And, I just... Do you know what that is?
I've heard of it.
So that's just where the government pretty much gives everybody $1,000 or whatever number they choose.
Whatever it would take to survive.
Every month. And, all your basic needs are met as a person. And with, automation coming, not so far off, that... it's going to be a necessity at some point. Mm-hmm. And, like, right now, when he ran for president, I think he's already dropped out of the election and all that stuff. But when he was running for president, everybody thought that idea was kind of laughable. Like, it's not going to happen because we wouldn't want it to happen, but also we wouldn't need it, and also the automation, they seem confused by it completely.
Yeah.
Now, in the midst of this pandemic, people are like, there's a large population of people, me included, that I am struggling. Obviously, I mean, I'm a musician in the pandemic, so I have no shows, which was a big money maker for me. And I have some, but not very many. And I'm working full time, and I don't know. There's some other surrounding factors, and if I had all my basic needs met, I feel like the stress level, just the overall stress level of the whole country. The country's on fire right now in so many different ways, so many different directions. Just that, just $1,000, which seems like maybe to some people a lot, and to other people, I've heard talk about, they don't think it's enough at all. Depends on who you talk to. Really, people in that upper class that they couldn't imagine surviving on that amount of money. So what's the point? But for somebody like me, that would be my life would be night and day difference.
Right. And I mean, that's the things, that's the conversations that we need to start having in the country, is rethinking how we do life. I mean, just how we run the country. Because I mean, we carry that mentality of you got to work to eat. We carry that mentality from Jamestown all the way back in whenever that was, 1600s, whatever. But that's when there was nothing. Mm-hmm. And they needed people to work to build the country up, to build the colonies. If people didn't work, then they weren't going to prosper. Nothing was going to happen within the land. The country's built. I mean, we're not trying to develop the country anymore. The country's here.
If anything, you could say it's overdeveloped.
Exactly. So I understand why we got to make people feel like to get your basic needs, you need to work your ass off.
Work your whole life and try to accumulate wealth, and that's your only...
It gives people no time to think about something they can do for their lives to make them feel fulfilled.
Yeah, and I mean, 100%. I don't know that I know anybody that feels fulfilled.
Right, exactly. And it's really sad.
There's probably are some people, but I think there's more people that just are just, zombieing.
It's a common theme for people to be upset with their lives
and be full of anxiety.
Yeah,
just rough all over.
Absolutely.
And I don't know what the answer is, but I think that would help. I think that just at least something. I don't know. I'm so stressed about. I was listening to a different podcast, and the host, she was saying that people are 13 points IQ points smarter when they aren't worried about money. So if the if the overall population wasn't as worried about money, our national IQ would be higher, and our just overall mentality would be a lot less anxious. But then, you'll get the other people that are like, well, where's that money coming from? But I have a feeling there's some fat we could cut in other places that maybe we don't need to be. And I don't know. I feel
like we're destroying the planet right now. I saw this on Facebook today. We're destroying the planet, but we're spending like billions of dollars to go and try to explore another planet, when we could put that money back into fixing our own.
Well, I don't even know if it's reversible at this point what we've done. I hope so.
There's definitely things we could cut or put in development. If we could. It's not like we don't have the technological capabilities and the money to develop things to replace machinery or whatever that is putting off dangerous emissions into the air or anything that's just polluting society. I think that's what we're ultimately moving towards.
But it's a weird roundabout way of getting there.
Yeah.
Because that's not where money is, People don't make money that way right now, and they don't see it as profitable as, like, changing everything. So, because there's no way to make that financially viable, I feel like. If there was a way that, switching everything from, like, fossil fuels to... It's all where because we're the way our country runs is all just on money. So wherever... we can find, if we could just mine some sort of value out of some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But again, I think we probably don't need so much money focused on like weapons and.
Right.
So, not that we don't need any. Of course we need some, but
we've got
at
quite
a certain point, I think there's an overkill point where you could probably stop making them at least for a little while, or somehow make the ones that. Are old. I don't know why we need to keep building our...
Or just do better with international relations so we don't feel the need to keep making more weapons.
Yeah, but I don't... Yeah, it's hard to say that with, what's going with our current president.
Absolutely.
I feel like he incites rage and, like, just... To some people, obviously, there's a certain population of people that he's very comforting to, and I don't really understand that per se, but
I can understand it, and now because I used to be in it, now being out of it, I'm like, why is anybody still in it? Like, how do you not see that this is kind of really jacked up?
Well, there's so much drama and like it's like what am I trying to say? Like everything's a big deal and everything's dramatic and everything's, just causing people to look at it is all it's trying to do. It's not really trying to be good or bad or anything. It's just trying to cause attention to be drawn to it instead of just like, because the whole point is, for our current president to get reelected, and to have that happen, he has to get talked about a lot and has to make a certain number of people really like him and a certain number of people probably conversely not like him. But anyway, it's all a show, I think, ultimately, and there aren't results that come from that, if that makes sense. Anyway, I don't know, I'm kind of ranting about something I don't even know.
It's rough. It's deep. I don't see any easy solution to it. I think whatever the solution's gonna be, it's gonna be
well
tough.
It's not gonna be for another 4 years probably, which is crazy to think about. Either side, obviously I prefer one side to the other, but even if Joe Biden gets elected, I mean, he's not what I want.
No, I don't think he's what anybody wants, except for the delusional people that think he's a great candidate. Like, anybody who still gets in, like, supports either side is just feeding into the machine. Like, they got you. You fell for it. Like,
yeah, I definitely agree with that. I don't see how this is what we came up with, and I don't really understand that no matter which side it goes, I still feel like it's 4 more years of just kind of the same nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe one side a little bit less nonsense, but nonsense nonetheless. Like, nobody stands out as, like, somebody who's going to really try to fix things.
Right, no, and absolutely, and that's the problem. We have the energy for a movement for change, but there's nobody leading. There's no leadership. There's no organization. I posted this on Facebook a few days ago, that a quote from Malcolm X: "We're not outnumbered, we're out-organized." And I believe that wholeheartedly. I mean, with the civil rights movement of the 60s, there's Martin Luther King. He was the leader. And everybody had somebody to look for. And Malcolm X for other parts of it as well. But right now, who do we got? We've got this like overlaying entity, so-called BLM, that nobody has a full grasp on what it is.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I don't really know 100%.
Yeah, it's a movement. I mean, there are people that understand what it is, but the majority of people just don't, especially conservatives. Conservatives think that BLM is this big national organization that is controlling every sort of thing that has to do with BLM.
I've just heard every variation of what it is, so it's hard to place what it actually is. And I think that that's across the board. Like,
and I mean, it's not easy. It's complicated.
I'm just saying, in general, what anything is hard to really, really boil down, because there's no way to distill it. There's just too much of two opposite ends talking, just saying things that contradict each other, and knowing what's real and what's not real. And there's no way to do all the research on every single thing, so it's really hard at a certain point. Like, you're just exhausted from it.
Yeah.
It's hard to put it all together. I mean, there's a lot of things that I think I know what it is, but I probably am wrong. I probably don't know. I'm probably just reading some article that agrees with me, confirmation bias, and maybe I question it a lot. I think that's what you have to do. That's what you should do. Anytime I read something that 100% agrees with everything that I think, I'm a little weary to believe it, because nothing's gonna believe. I mean, there might be a few things, but I don't know. It's just a weird time to be alive.
It really is. And I mean, the question is, where do we go from here?
I don't know.
It's a tough question.
Well, you go to Mexico.
Yeah, I'm getting out. I mean, I don't see it going anywhere good anytime soon. So I'm gonna let everybody here figure that out. In the time being, I'm gonna get myself together so that in the future I may be better equipped. But for the time being, it's just chaos, because nobody knows what to do. And it's the problem. The biggest enemy we have right now is the media.
I agree.
It's the biggest enemy we have right now, because all it does is feed both sides propaganda. But everybody has, oh no, it's not propaganda because blah blah blah. Well, no, it's propaganda. It's just different from propaganda as you think it is, because it's not all controlled by one side.
It's just meant to incite attention.
Right.
That's it.
You've got the conservative propaganda and you've got the liberal propaganda. It's both the same. Both of them are filled with a bunch of BS, and both of them have no sort of interest for the individual American.
Or for finding the solution to anything.
All they have an interest for is getting their party control. And what really it is this race between two parties to have full control of the nation. If they could have it their way, they wouldn't have the other party there. Like, people who are diehard Republicans or people who are diehard Democrats, they would get rid of completely the other side, and have a full Republican sort of dictatorship all throughout the country. and completely ask for it. Or Democrat. It can go either way. I'm not trying to pick on either side. I'm picking on both of them simultaneously because I feel like everybody just needs to pull out of it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm there. I don't know what to do. I almost feel like not voting, but I can't not vote.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna vote, but I'm
not gonna feel good about it either way. Obviously, I'm gonna vote for probably Joe Biden, I guess, because I have to. But
I don't know that I might vote third party.
Who's third party that you like then?
I'm still looking into that because it's not like there's a whole lot of good options there either.
I mean, I wish Andrew Yang would have made it.
I would have. Mark Hubbard, maybe his name. I don't know, but he's a Native American guy from.
The name sounds familiar.
Somewhere out west, but he was saying a lot of good stuff, and I really liked it. So I might write him in if he's not on the ballot, but I understand what people are saying. They're like, you need to vote Biden to get Trump out. But I'm not just going to lie down and play into the system like everybody else. Like, I don't care if you need to vote Biden to get Trump. Even if Biden gets in, what is he going to do?
I don't know.
He's not going to do anything.
That's what I mean. No matter what you do this time, you can't feel good about it. Even if you write in a third party, I know morally you might feel good about it, but you might be preventing... the lesser of two evils. You might be reinforcing the worst case scenario.
What's more important is voting in your local elections.
I agree. Definitely agree.
Vote for your local politicians because that's where it counts. Those are the ones who are making the laws that affect you.
Well, and I mean, I think that's definitely true, but I think the federal government, especially right now, the laws they're making are affecting us directly, like with the stimulus stuff.
Sure.
All that stuff going on is just crazy to me. I mean, there are people who are having a really tough time, and I mean, I'm not like in the worst case scenario by any means. I mean, but a little action would be nice. A little something like Well, besides leadership, but I mean, I wish somebody would just hold me and tell me it would be okay, I guess. But also, let's get some. Because, like I said earlier, the country's on fire for so many different reasons. Don't you think that getting some of these bills passed, like in a quickly kind of organized way, would be the best for our country? But why are we prolonging it? Are we waiting for the election? Is that what they're doing? Or they just can't agree on? But their non-agreeance is hurting people, and they don't even understand. They don't even have any idea. Because they get paid a lot of money to do what they're doing. So I just any sort of action would be nice.
And I mean, it's amazing how efficiently and successfully they got us all to turn against each other. Because they even got the people that they've got under turned against people that are under. Like, you've got poor people fighting against poor people.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the goal to a certain extent. Maybe not as like a masterful plan or like I don't think there's like 8 cabal people that are controlling the world or anything. But I do think that, that makes it easier to, reinforce their lifestyle and people of power's lifestyle.
I think
we're fighting with each other and not trying to get things done.
Yeah, and I mean, not to make it like to say cabal or like a fantasized type thing or anything, but I think they're very well aware of what's happening, and they're very much using it to their advantage. I mean, don't want to make it sound like anything like, like big conspiracy theory. It's just nature. It's just what humans have done all throughout history. Like, if there's somebody in power with as much power as our politicians do with the money that they have, and don't get me started on just the business people like Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and people like that, but people with that kind of money and power take advantage of it. No matter who, it doesn't matter who you are and what time period, it's shown true throughout history.
Well, and I think it kind of all goes back to, it's a numbers game. They're not thinking of people. They're thinking of how can I make the most money the easiest way.
Yeah.
And they don't really care how that affects anybody. And
yep.
I think that has, at least something to do with it.
Yeah, we've got individuals with so much money that they could easily fix so many problems throughout
with
the
half
world.
or less than half.
Oh yeah.
Their fortune. Yes.
But they just hold on to it and I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I understand that there's many of them that donate to charities and things like that,
and probably feel like they earned it, and that's the big thing. Like they worked hard.
Fine, but I'm starting to just get to the ideology that we need to divorce ourselves from that. Like, you earn that much money. Well, you don't need to have that much money.
Nobody does.
There's people, like, other human beings. Like, just because you earn that much money doesn't make you better than somebody that's dying on the street because they have nothing. You know, like, you've got so much. Can't you just share? Like,
I think part of it too, and this is just me playing devil's advocate, pretty much nothing else, but part of it too is there's so many problems, and like, where do you even focus your money? I mean, it'd be hard if you had a lot of money to think, like, what would I do that would be like, and again, just playing devil's advocate, where do I put this money to really have the maximum benefit? I think that would be a tough question. Yeah. Like, what could they do? I mean, I don't think they should have it. I mean, as much as they do, that's too much money for.
And it's such a touchy subject because.
But why? Why? It's like
it shouldn't be a touchy subject. That's what. Yeah, you're right. It's become this thing in America that you can't talk about money or other people's money and what they should or shouldn't do with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I don't understand the people pretty much poor people really caring about what really rich people do with their. I mean, they're like actively saying we should, like what you're saying. They're like fighting for, like, you shouldn't they made that money. That's their money. But why are they fighting for that? They should be fighting for some sort of I mean, I don't know. But in that ideology, I feel like it's all about, you got to work hard, pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Exactly. It's because that American dream mentality, those people that are saying that think they have a shot to do that too.
Right. Definitely. And that's improbable.
In reality, you don't.
And you're more likely
they don't understand how much money that is.
You're more likely going to be on the other end of that, where you're like, just getting by,
Right. They look at these billionaires and they think, oh, well, that could be me. Like, no, that's a long shot because that's a lot of money.
You have more of a chance of probably being a successful musician than you do of being a billionaire, right?
Exactly.
So, and that's a long shot, That's like unlikely for most people. Like, if you think of...
People gotta get a grip.
Like, if you think of, like, how rare it is... I was listening to a different podcast not that long ago, and somebody said it's something like 99% of people in the Actors Guild, like in Hollywood and stuff, they don't earn all their income. Like, they aren't just actors. They have to have other jobs. So that's such a small percent. Like, you have to think, okay, out of the whole population, that's a specific already. That's just in the Actors Guild. So, it's even a huger, even bigger, small fraction.
Yeah.
Or I guess even smaller of a fraction of the people, like the chance of you becoming like a famous actor or something, and supporting yourself, not being famous, I guess, but just supporting yourself just from acting. That's such just a tiny slip. And if you talk to most people and you were like, I want to become an actor, they'd kind of, just like when we say, I want to be a musician, same thing, kind of scoff at you and be like, okay, like, good luck with that, But
what's your plan B?
Secretly in the back of their mind, some of them, not all of them, but probably are thinking someday I might be the billionaire.
Yeah.
And that's way less likely. They're fighting for that position, and it doesn't make any sense at all. But anyway,
it's just not. It's not gonna work. I did kind of my own little numbers experiment regarding billionaires, and if we were to tax the 1%, like the however many people, not like 10 people, whatever, that have just ridiculous amounts of money, like billions and billions of dollars, taxing the 1%. And to an extreme, I did it to an extreme, just as an example. I think I put it at 99%. And I took Mike Bloomberg, for example. and he had a net worth of $63 something billion. So if you were to just going off of his net worth, tax his net worth 99%, it would leave him with like, I think it was like $1 or $2 billion. Oh no.
Yeah, poor guy.
And that's a lot of money. You're taking a solid like 60 some $1 billion from somebody, but he's still got $1 to $2 billion. Like, that's a lot. He don't have to do nothing for the rest of his life, and his kids and their kids don't have to do nothing for the rest of their lives with that much money. But with the money that would have been taken from him, I did math through that as well, and I took ISU for example, and the tuition that they have at ISU, and you could put a full graduating class of students through ISU for 10 years just off of that one man
person. Yeah, one
on
person.
that one man for 10 years.
But again, that is extreme. Obviously you'd be taxing a lot more people at a lot smaller percent.
Right.
But it's definitely. But then, in their eyes, you're stealing from them.
Right, exactly. From them,
and they earn that money.
And it's unfortunate that people think that, like,
and
they earn that money. A lot of it isn't really earning the money; it's just kind of building off of itself.
Yeah, money makes money. That's definitely a thing, I think. But
it's like we got to
I don't really know because I don't have any money. But I've heard that money. If you have $1 billion, it's probably easier that second billion is probably easier to make. I just have a feeling.
Like I saw something online that Jeff Bezos made $5 billion in like the past week or something.
Yeah, that guy's crazy. But I've noticed you do a lot of like organizing of events for.
Yep.
Is it the BLM or Black Lives Matter movement and stuff
I'm
like
not
that?
a part of the BLM chapter here in town.
But you're just actively protesting.
But I'm a part of the movement, the Black Lives Matter movement. So people gotta understand that Black Lives Matter. There's quite a few different meanings. If you're saying,
I need some schooling on this.
Yeah,
so I'm glad to hear it. Go ahead, please.
It's really not too difficult to understand. So pretty much, back around 2015, I think it was when Trayvon Martin was killed. This hashtag started going around saying Black Lives Matter because people were like, it's almost like black lives don't matter. And so people started saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, Black lives actually do matter. So we're going to start making a hashtag out of that. And people started saying Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter.
And of course, once you say that, you have to have the opposition.
Right.
Makes no sense.
And I mean, at the beginning, it was fine. It turned into a movement, and everybody started being camaraderie behind that. And then organizations started calling themselves Black Lives Matter organization. Like there's a National Black Lives Matter organization. And everybody tries to think that the National Black Lives Matter organization represents everything Black Lives Matter. And it's simply false. Like, they do their own thing, and that is them. But Black Lives Matter, the movement, is made up of all of us. Like, I'm nothing with Black Lives Matter organization that created itself after the Black Lives Matter movement started. Like, they're their own thing. Don't associate me with them. They stole the name.
Yeah, and that I could see how that would be. I mean, to me, it was I didn't know that there was such a distinction, I guess.
Right.
I don't know if that's just because I'm not paying attention enough.
Right, and I mean, it goes back to the media. They're just trying to portray it as that,
Well, honestly, the more the media, the crazier the media gets, the less I want to look at it. Yep. So I feel like I'm falling behind in a lot of ways, and I don't feel like I'm necessarily doing all the things I should be. Like I don't know. I feel like I should be out there and protesting, but I also, I feel like I don't feel like I'm the right person to really I don't know anything, and straight white male guy, like that's not the guy that needs to be. I need to kind of not say things,
right?
But I feel like I should let you talk for sure, and maybe on this podcast, for instance, I feel like the things you're saying are much more valuable than probably what I'm inputting. But then also there's the feeling of like, I'm just trying to, not, I'm living day to day just like everybody else. So the idea of like, and I don't know, I'm like those rich people. I don't know where to put my focus, I guess. I don't, I want to do more, I do, but I don't know what is the right thing. And I feel bad for not, and I feel bad for not knowing what the right thing is.
No, it's definitely, because there's a lot of people in your shoes that just don't know what it is that you should do.
I want to help. I want to be a part of something that...
Exactly.
I don't want to be complacent.
And people in your situation, you've got it rough right now. I feel bad for straight white dudes, because everybody's out to get the straight white dudes right now.
And to an extent, I mean, I don't know. There's nothing really overwhelming about my, situation. Like, when I think about, just, I don't know. I had a good friend of mine, Kendrick Coates, and he was on a podcast recently. He was talking about how his dad got pulled over by a bunch of cops, and guns drawn, and then you come to find out later that it wasn't even the right color car, like just like these crazy stories. Nothing that terrible has ever happened to me. I'm not, I'm privileged in a lot of ways is what I'm getting at, though I have nothing to compare that to. So I still feel like I'm struggling. I still feel like I have it tough, even though, like in my head, like intellectually, I know I don't, but I still feel like it's hard for me.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just a weird spot to be in. I know that I don't have it as bad as a lot of people. Like, I know I don't. And again, I want to do more, but I don't really know the right way to approach it, I guess.
Right. I mean, shoot. I totally get what you mean by saying, like, you don't feel like you should have a voice in it, or feel like you should give that opportunity to somebody else. And to an extent, I agree with that. Because it is the people who are being hurt that need to be heard. But at the same time, we also need people in support as well.
Well, I mean, I am in support.
Right.
Mentally, I just don't know what action should I take. What should I do? What should I be focused on? I don't know what the right answer is to this. And
I can't say I really got the right answer either. I mean, just the kind of cookie cutter is vote and keep up with what the policies are that people are wanting, and keep up for what Congress is voting on and things like that. I mean, because I feel like for a long time people didn't pay attention to what
100%
decisions that Congress was making, or the courts, or anything.
And now that it's affecting everybody kind of more directly, I feel like there is a lot more attention there. But still, there's so much noise. That's kind of something I brought up a few times throughout this conversation, is like, there's so much noise and so much heartache and so much anxiety that it's like, it's easier to just like do the wrong thing, which is put your head down and like just, I don't want to think about all that negative stuff, and like I'm just trying to get through it myself. So I guess I don't know. I don't know if I should even ask you. Really, I feel weird even asking. What is the right thing? You know what I mean?
I mean, don't feel weird at all. I mean, I've gotten that question a lot.
But I mean, I'm putting that question on you, is what I feel like when I ask it. You know what I mean?
I don't feel that way. Because I understand it.
Because is it your responsibility to coach me up? Is, I guess, what I like, how it feels from my end.
Right.
I'm like putting it on you to come up with an answer for me, and that's not your responsibility. I should be doing that, but it's just so overwhelming. And the feeling, the pit you get when you see these things happen in your stomach, that hurts your soul.
Yeah. And
it's just there, and
you feel powerless in a way.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly how I feel.
It was rough, especially with the most recent one that just happened with Jacob Blake in Kenosha.
And I've only seen a few things from it, and I'm like, I haven't watched a video or anything, because I know it's gonna take a toll when I do. I don't know. Is there a video? There is a video probably of it.
Yeah, I saw it. the day after it happened, I was still in Mexico, and just kind of, I kind of took that time to step away, because I mean, this is really heavy. I mean, especially, it affects you mentally, it affects you physically. I mean, I've just been emotionally exhausted.
And because I feel that way, I can't even imagine how it would be to, actually be a person of like a different race in this country.
And that's the thing. People don't think about that either. That, like, the way that Americans, I posted this on Facebook as well, just today. Like, Americans have lost what it means to be American. And what I mean by that, I always was under the impression that to be American was to take care of your fellow man, like no matter who they are. If somebody's in need of help, you help them.
But has that really been our motto? If you look at how this country
exactly
came up, it's an ideology. It's like an ideology, but it's not like in practice.
I feel like it's what they wanted us to believe.
Agreed.
I feel like that's what they wanted us to believe, and we're now seeing. That's what everyone, once they get older, sees all the BS.
Well, just atrocity after atrocity, really. I mean, that's what America's to a point built on. I mean, I love this country for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, it's my home. I
think that there's great things that are results of this country, and I'm proud to live here. And
absolutely.
But
there's a lot wrong.
There's a lot of baggage that comes along with all that.
Yep, there's a lot that needs to be fixed, and it's almost they've turned being American almost into like a religion, to where if you question it, people are like, whoa, like you can't do that.
You're either proud to be an American or you're a traitor.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I feel that.
And it's just like it's literally just
part of the reason this country is supposed to be great is because it allows its people to critique it.
Exactly.
And even though we aren't punished by the government if we do criticize certain things, they've made it so people are the judge and jury on you.
Right.
And it's just a weird place to be. I know I've said that too many times, but I
mean, it rings true. It's a very odd place to be right now, and I tried to explain this to my friends in Mexico when I was down there. I was like, the United States is a very different place right now. Like, it's just, I don't feel comfortable. It's just very odd, like...
And that's something that I thought was just over with, you know what I mean? Like, I just thought it was done. Like, I thought that was, I read a lot of books and stuff when I was in high school about the civil rights movement and stuff, and I was like, that's history, that happened, and we're good now. And then you find out, as you get a little bit older, that, it's changed, but it's not where it, where I thought it was at all.
Exactly. They tried to tell us that the last racist that there ever was the guy that killed Martin Luther King, but we found out that wasn't true.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. But anyway, so I know that asking you what I should be doing besides just voting for stuff is maybe a lot or too much.
Yeah,
and
that's the thing. I don't know what's gonna happen because there's really no answer. There's no answer. Oh, well, you can do this, and this is going to help us. Because everything's so messed up right now. Like, I don't see any good way. We're just getting more and more and more divided. And it's like, I hate to say it, and I don't want to, like, jinx anything, but I feel like that it's going to end in some sort of armed action.
Well, I mean, that's what the saying is, all empires fall, right? I mean,
I feel like we're living in the fall of Rome. It's
And I've had that thought like 100 times during this whole pandemic, and then all the race stuff that's been happening, and everybody being so divided, and having a leader that doesn't seem afraid to, he seems afraid to be diplomatic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't want to just be like, well, let's just, talk through this a little bit. He's just like, let's just say a bunch of crazy things and roll the dice.
Let's get people fired up.
And we're America, so it doesn't matter what. I mean,
just get people fired up and say the most stupidest shit we can say, and then put America behind it.
Yeah, just put our stamp on it.
Bam, America's great again.
And yeah, this whole America great again. I don't know what time.
When was it great? Tell me, please.
I mean, I would say it's always been great in some ways.
In some ways, absolutely.
Like, if you look at, like, our art and our culture in a lot of ways, I think there's some amazing things that have happened from that part of it. Obviously, you know, I'm really into music, obviously, so I think that a lot of amazing music and a lot of amazing movies and TV show, you know, art, a lot of amazing art in general has come out of this experiment. But there's also been a lot of just crazy, not so good stuff. So I think America, like I said, is great in a lot of ways. But
absolutely.
To say make America great again, like I don't
know which time period are you wanting to go back to, because many of those weren't that great for people like me.
Exactly. So I don't know what that. Yeah, I don't know, and it seems like that's almost what they're almost like mocking that to a point, like.
Yeah.
Like they thought it was great in a time where it wouldn't have been great for you.
Yeah.
And that seems like a kind of messed up idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's roll it back around to something a little bit more positive.
There we go.
I know. I tend to, on these things, get into this discussion a lot, and it's because I think about it a lot, and it weighs on me a lot, and I feel helpless, and this is my only outlet for it, honestly. I mean, I can try to write a song about it and articulate it, but that doesn't really, you know, I don't know if that does everything I'm feeling
about it.
Yeah, and it does feel better just to get some of it off my chest, even though I know not many people are really gonna listen to this. It just feels good to, you know, kind of
get it out there.
And I would hope that, you know, it would be relieving for other people if they do listen to know that maybe somebody else feels the same way that they do. I mean, I guess that's kind of the point.
We're in a time when we just need people to get together and realize we all have differences and we're not all going to agree on everything, but we can all see that things are going downhill. And if we don't all just sit down and be like, okay, we're all living on the same planet and we got to do it together, so why don't we just try and fix it?
Like I feel like we should be Team Planet, but we're not even Team America. You know, that's so crazy.
We're team me and my house.
But, all right, so let's shift it back to some music. So I was going to ask you, so, like, who are your influences?
Oh, man. Currently, or?
Both. I like to hear both. I'm always looking for something new to check out, but I like to hear kind of where your music kind of comes from, too.
Okay. Well, growing up, I listened to a lot of early 2000s pop because all my cousins and my sister, they were around your age. I was a baby. So they all listened to the early 2000s.
Some example? You got any examples for me?
Just like pop radio stuff. What would have
like
been
rock
Matchbox?
Or like, okay, Matchbox 20.
Matchbox 20. Of course, I'm gonna blank on everything right now.
Yeah, I put you on the spot.
I saw. When you see my face, once we give you hell.
All American Rejects.
All American Rejects. I saw them at the.
That was really popular when I was in high school.
Yeah, sure. Wesleyan when they did that last year, I think. But stuff like that, I listened to a lot of stuff like that. My dad got me into things like Ray Charles and Marvin Gaye.
Ray Charles is like, I put on like just his station somewhere, and you just don't realize. There's just, I just think there's something very awesome, some quality to his voice that, like, I've just never heard anywhere else.
Absolutely.
You know? I don't know what it is. There's, like, a warmth.
Something
about it.
It's
like kind of a baritone-y kind of voice, but it's just solid. Like,
there's just something soothing. There's something about that.
And maybe there's a little nostalgic there, because he's been in a lot of classic, like, movies, maybe.
Right,
I don't know if that has something to do with it, but, I mean, even songs that I'd never heard before, I'm just like, man, that's a good song.
Absolutely.
And he's just such a talent. I'm a big Ray Charles guy.
Legend. Yeah. A legend. But that's, my dad kind of got me into stuff like that. Got me into a lot of smooth jazz. He's a big smooth jazz guy.
You play any jazz?
I played in the jazz band at Wesleyan for a stint while I was out there.
Play guitar?
Wasn't any good. Guitar, yeah. Was not any good. Was not used to that environment.
Probably opened some doors for you, some pathways that you weren't used to using.
I learned a lot of new chords that I put into use a lot now, which I'm very happy about. But smooth jazz, I'm a big fan of smooth jazz. Like, an ideal morning for me would be wake up and it's just kind of little rainy, a little thunderstormy. Wake up, get my coffee, sit down, turn on some smooth jazz, and just chill for a little bit. That's like an ideal.
Get your mind in the right place, kind of.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
My mom got me into things like my mom got me into a lot of country stuff because my grandfather played music, and he was in a lot of bands. He was actually in a band with Keith Sweet, I think his name is. He plays in Little Big Town. Blonde guy.
I've heard of Little Big Town at least.
Yeah, he was in a band with him.
Is that what got you started with the music, or playing guitar? When
I started playing guitar after my grandfather died because my mom wanted me to do it in honor of him, and I was like, okay. So I did, and kind of liked it, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll kind of stick with it, and just kind of played around with it for a while. I was a big basketball kid, so basketball was my main focus. But I always just messed around with the guitar. I was in the church heavily, and they knew that I played the guitar, so they were like, hey, you help out with the worship team.
I had almost the exact same experience with, I played in the youth band when in middle school.
Yeah, and it helps a
Yeah,
lot.
it showed me how to play in a band. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, with minimal, like, hey, here's 4 chords, but play along with the drummer and the bass player and the singer, and like how that environment works.
Absolutely. If it weren't for the church, I would not be nearly as good as I am today.
Mm-hmm.
That helped a lot. Getting up on stage and like I have little to no stage fright now, just because I was so used to getting up as a kid in front of all my peers and other kids in the youth group and girls that I had a crush on. I got all that out. Like I got all that nervousness out young. So now when I'm older, I mean, I still get nervous for like certain things, like if there's a big event.
It never 100% goes away, but I was a wrestler for a long time, and I always say that I think wrestling cures stage fright because getting beat up in a singlet in front of a stadium full of people.
Never thought about it that way.
Yeah, so if you've done that, playing and singing weirdly one night isn't really gonna crush your soul, or like somebody being like, oh, I don't really like what you do.
Right.
It's just gonna roll off you a little bit easier maybe than some because, like I said, getting beat up almost naked in front of a large stadium of people. Well, I wrestled. I made it to state in my 8th grade year.
Oh yeah.
And I not only was I wearing a singlet, but I also had really long hair that I wouldn't cut. So
nice.
They made me wear a hairnet.
Oh, sweet.
Wow. So because I won one match I think, and then got beat twice. So I got beat twice in front of a huge arena.
Sweet.
With a hairnet and a singlet. I think once that happens to you, your stage fright is minimal.
Yeah, there's not too much.
There's no more dignity that can be taken from you, I think, at that point.
You're at kind of base level there.
But so what do you listen to now?
I listen to a lot of just jumbled anything.
Give me 5 bands. That's what I want.
So I'm big. I listen to a lot of Spanish music. Most of the music I listen to is in Spanish.
Can you speak Spanish?
Yeah, I'm bilingual. So I've been listening to a lot of like R&B, funk, fusion out of Argentina, which is popping right now for some reason. And like a band called 1915. They are so good. Like they're like a R&B funk Rage Against the Machine. Very political.
Awesome.
Their songs lyrically great. Like, I mean, if you can understand Spanish.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is I think people have a hard enough time understanding the lyrics and just songs in their own language.
Right,
so
right.
To understand them from a different language, that's a whole different level. I think that'd be tough. I mean,
they're great.
I took 3 years of Spanish. I am by no means bilingual. I can pick out some words. That's about as crazy as I get. But
it really, and that's the thing. Like, if you want to learn a language and be bilingual, you gotta go to wherever that language is spoken.
I think that's definitely. You know, I had this idea the other. I spent. This is my big quarantine accomplishment, and I'm still not good at it. But one of the things that I was listening to something, and they were rolling their R's really hard with the tongue roll.
Yeah.
And I had never been able to do that. And so I spent, my poor girlfriend, I'll just say, because I didn't know you could learn it, I guess. And it is something you can learn, I guess.
Absolutely.
And so my big accomplishment is being able to be able to kind of roll my tongue. I still have a tough time with the R's, but, you know, and it just makes me think, like, and just listening to like different languages and stuff like that, like I think that probably the language you speak it kind of infects the way you think a lot. You know, it's just completely different sounds and different parts. Like, and I don't know. I think I went a long time without really thinking too much into it, but how, like, you know, kind of, you know, I don't need to ever learn any other language, or, you know, I speak English, you know, I kind of have this mentality. But then thinking about it further, I'm like, you know, it would open your mind, just like learning, you know, playing in the Wesleyan Jazz Band would open up some different neural pathways in your head. I think speaking a different language, and you know, you're using different parts of the like acoustics in your mouth, and you're, you know, doing different things like guttural noises that I've never even made before. I don't know.
It is a wild experience. I'll say that, because my dad's black and my mom's white. I'm not at all Hispanic.
Mm-hmm.
I just went and lived there because I wanted to learn Spanish, and it worked. And what I can say from it is that it completely changed my life, like, because it just opens an entire new world. Like you said, I now can speak to tons and tons and tons more people than I ever could have before.
And I think that has, like, how you express it would make you think differently. You
Uh-huh.
know? How you, like, the same idea in two different languages. And again, I by no means speak another language.
But you're right on point.
But, like, just the idea of it, I've thought about a lot. And I do have, like, at some point, I think I could probably pick up Spanish, because I took 3 years of it in high school. I have a lot of vocab words up there, but as far as, like, how to, like, actually talk, I don't think I would do very good in understanding people. They'd have to speak really slow. But
right, and that's what it takes. I mean, I went through all that, asking people, please just slow down. But it really just takes, if you can understand the concepts of, like, how their grammar works and how they form their sentences, it starts to click. And you're just like, oh, okay. So, like, now when I speak Spanish, it's like a flip, like a switch in my head.
They say you start dreaming in Spanish.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You get fluent. Did that happen?
Like, yeah, totally. A switch, like when I'm in Mexico and I'm with all my friends and just hanging out there, English is nowhere to be found in my mind. Like, I'm not thinking anything in English, I'm thinking everything in Spanish, because I'm just in that environment.
Right. See, that
but then I come back home, and, like, it's really weird getting on the plane and then landing, and then everybody's speaking a different language, and I have to switch that back. Because I'll, like, walk up to somebody, like when I just got to Chicago, I just got back from Mexico, and I'm walking through the airport trying to find where I'm going, and I walk up to somebody, and I'm, like, thinking, wait a minute, what am I going to say? Because I'm like, where am I at? And I'm like, okay, English. And I'm like, okay, hey, where do I need to go? But it's
but just that phrase by itself, I mean, I feel like, where do I need to go, you know, would be like, you'd have to do it in a different kind of order, you know, just that tiny variation and just that one phrase, you know, would be like kind of backwards maybe than how you would say it. And just that, like, flip of, like, that the kind of some of the concepts being reversed.
Right.
I mean, I'm
and
sure that just
to
opens
you.
up your head like in a different way.
Like I'll say, because there's plenty of things and phrases that will make sense in one language that don't make sense if you try to translate it back to your own language. So I'll say things in English that might not make sense, but it's because I'm thinking, oh, well, this is how I'd say it in Spanish. And, like, I'd say it, just not even thinking about it, how it doesn't make sense in English. And then my friends are like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, wait a second. Let me rethink it. But it's a great experience. It's part of my, like, adventure spirit. And, like, feeling like I'm missing out. I feel like I have a passion for languages. I need to learn as many as I can so I'm not missing out on everything,
Yeah, I think I'm more open up to that idea now. I think I spent a lot of time like not thinking about it at all.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, after, maybe this quarantine has got me thinking about it a little bit more. But
yeah.
Anyway, so where can people find your music and?
Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, anywhere.
Couple songs out there, right?
Yeah, and we are going on a hiatus, but tomorrow we're actually going in to record.
Awesome.
So we're going to try to... We're going out to a place in Tremont. A new place with a guy named Matt Rush.
Awesome.
So we'll hopefully have a few songs that we can release soon.
Very cool. That'll be something to send people away on your hiatus with for a little while at least. So that's awesome.
And we'll have a live EP hopefully out soon.
And I'll definitely put all your links and stuff in the comments or description, and
right on.
This will be available on everywhere you stream podcasts and stuff.
Sounds good.
And I'll put make it really easy for people to find you. So be sure to go and like Austin's all his pages, follow him on Spotify, all that stuff. Third Street Down. What was the other band name?
It was Sunday Afternoon before.
Did you release anything under that name?
That we did. It was an EP called relationship status.
There you go. So check that out on all the streaming sites as well. I appreciate you coming in and do this. It was nice sitting down and talking to you, and I'm glad I got it done before you took off. I didn't know that was even going to be an option. So anyway, I appreciate anybody who took the time to listen, and I will talk to you next time. Have a good one. Peace.